Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the 2024 Euroformula Open Championship. Round 7 takes us to Spain. We are here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. 14 turns, 4.657 kilometers. That's 2.894 miles. Here around the Montemelo circuit here in Spain, Barcelona. Open back on the 10th of September, 1991, with its grand opening falling in line with the Olympic Games that year, where the cycling event would start on the start-finish line. An incredible performance. It was an incredible performance on part of Brad Benavides, but we're going to take a look at highlights now from a very wet weekend at Red Bull Ring. It was a great start for Brad Benavides. Not a great start, though, for Jose Garfias, who started on pole position for the opening race of the weekend in his maiden weekend. But as you could see, the spray being kicked up by all of the cars. It was a tricky race for them to manage. And once more, we saw them all tying up. Of course, Edward Pearson, part of it, managing to get past Aventi Ravesh. But Brad Benavides ultimately adding more points to his championship repertoire, taking victory in the opening race. Race 2 got underway with Fernando Barrichello up at the front. He was immediately challenged, though, for that race lead. Quite a flurry of cars coming through out of the final sectors. They duelled coming out of turn 1. Barrichello came under pressure once more as they looked to attack, heading through towards the Roche and Verth curve. Of course, though, Barrichello would hold and defend extremely well. Eventually, though, it would be a fairy tale finish to race 2, with Fernando Barrichello taking his first Euroformula race win. Race 3 got underway as well, and once more we saw Jules coming in towards the very fast Lauda corner at turn 1. A car going off track belonging to the 95 of Edward Pearson. Side by side they would go, heading up through towards Remus out of turn 3. Many cars getting caught out. Fernando Barrichello getting caught out, of course, heading into the off track. Brad Benavides would get him on the run down towards Slosh Gold, but it was a stellar victory on hand for Michael Shin in his final race of the season. And here we are. We've arrived here at Barcelona now, and this is our first race of the weekend. Brad Benavides on his quest. On his quest to becoming champion. First and foremost, needs to get through 17 laps of action, with a 30-minute timer applied as well. But he's got plenty of other contenders looking to take it from him. Let's take you through the starting grid. Brad Benavides taking yet another pole position. Jose Garfias very close to obtaining his second. He starts on the front row alongside him. Edward Pearson in third. Francesco Simonazzi starting fourth. Vladislav Ryabov starting in fifth place. Fernando Barrichello starting sixth. Riccardo Escotto in his first appearance this season starting from seventh. So, the championship on the line. We have got 6 races ahead before we reach the end of the campaign, but Brad Benavides can have it sewn up before then, and it looks likely. Quite the gap between he and Francesco Simonazzi. 377 for Benavides, 273 for Simonazzi. And at this stage, it's getting very tight. You can imagine the pressure building up. George Morgan here, Chris Stevens alongside me. Chris, it's all to play for.
It certainly is. Brad Benavides with his third pole position of the season, going into this penultimate race weekend of 2024. But he's got 2 very quick rookies right behind him, Jose Garfias and Edward Pearson, who absolutely shone in their debut weekend at the Red Bull Ring a couple of weeks ago. Close rookie battle happening behind them as well, with Vladislav Ryabov, Barrichello and Escotto all starting alongside each other at the back of the grid.
Yeah. Well, lining up now, of course, the pole position that would be taken by Brad Benavides would make it 3, magical number 3 poles this campaign. Green flag's now being waved by the marshals in behind. Here come the lights. All 5 lights are lit. And it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Great start there for Brad Benavides. No hoodoo here for Jose Garfias. Gets away strongly as well in the wheel tracks of Brad Benavides on the run down towards turn 1. Simonazzi and Edward Pearson as well going side by side, but Pearson with the upper hand, and Garfias are going to have the upper hand here on Benavides. He's going to tangle, go wheel to wheel, but Benavides hanging on brilliantly. It's opened the door as well for Pearson in behind. He's on the back of Garfias, the 2 newcomers from last time out at Austria, and now dicing it out together. Garfias just showing in front here of Pearson, trying to defend. Simonazzi having a look up the inside as he comes up against Vladislav Ryabov, but Ryabov getting a lovely start, and he's ahead of Simonazzi.
All Benavides needs to do is not have contact and crash out of a race. in order to wrap up the championship this weekend. They got mighty close through turns 1 and 2. Despite that, as Simonazzi does dispatch of Ryabov into turn number 7 and gets himself back up into 4th position. Also, Barrichello was going wheel-to-wheel with Ricardo Escotto for 6th. The Brazilian coming out on top there. So Benavides leads by about 3/4 of a second to Jose Garcias. Ed Pearson in very close proximity there as well. The young Brit who is already taken a couple of podium finishes in his Euroformula Open career, despite it being quite short-lived, and both looking for potential seats for next year as well when we move to the Dallara 324 chassis and expand grid numbers as well. At the end of the first lap, Benavides leads by 0.777 over Garfias and Pearson.
It's been a good run for Benavides this campaign. He's done it all, hasn't he? Of course, FIA F3, FIA F2, was a former driver here in the Euroformula Open Championship in years gone by. If we look back, of course, at 2018, around the realms of that, of course, and now back once more, and this time looking set to lift the championship trophy aloft, but obviously still needs to get through a portion of this weekend. It could yet all go to Monza, depending on how the results stack up. But Simonazzi is nearest title challenger, currently sat in 4th at this moment in time. Purple, though, in the first sector for Simonazzi, who's now going to work here in this, well, on this lap. 16 to go, as they now climb up the hill out of berth and then in towards Kamsa. Then descend downhill out of turn 9 through towards turn 10. Great start so far for Garfias. Showed a little bit of grit, a little bit of tenacity, of course, getting a better launch than he did back in the opening race at Austria. Of course, it wasn't necessarily a bad start on his account. Obviously, issues were plaguing him at the very beginning and could not quite get that car firing like he probably would have liked to have. So we would have been talking about race 1 at Red Bull Ring in a different light, with maybe him becoming a race winner. Brad Benavides, though, taking all the plaudits for that with a victory and the fastest lap.
So end of the second lap there, it's 1.6 separating the top 3, and Simonazzi is closing in there as Ryabov has his mirrors full of that blue and yellow Barrichello car, heading down towards turn 1. Benavides continues to lead here. He has very much been the form man throughout the year. 7 wins to his name. Has been able to win a race in every single meeting of the season, and only two races where he hasn't finished on the podium. It has been quite a substantial record for the Floridian, but we're also excited to see what Jose Garfias is capable of in this very short amount of time that he'll be joining us for. The man from San Luis Potosi in Mexico, the 19-year-old who's driving the ex-Norleon car that he won the championship last year with, and joining us from the Euro Cup 3 championship with that he's been running with Santalok Racing in, but looking to move across to Lara Machinery and find himself a seat for next year, perhaps.
Yeah, and speaking to the engineers as well about Jose Garfias down at the Motorpark Garage, they speak and talk the world about him. Obviously, has come in and was very much on the pace right from the very get-go. Of course, taking pole position in your opening weekend of the Euroformula Open Championship is no mean feat, especially when you have established figures like Brad Benavides and also Francesco Simonazzi. You know, those drivers obviously have been there, done it. Simonazzi's been here multiple years. Benavides coming back from periods in the past where he competed here in this series. And they speak about Garfias, how he's on the pace already, the engineers were saying. There's not a lot we need to tell him. He's prepared, he's ready. And you never know. When we see him back, you know, obviously we assume off the basis they're running and testing these drivers here in these cars at the moment, they will be making an appearance on the grid next campaign. Obviously, nothing confirmed just yet, but as we move into the Dallara 324 chassis, I mean, this is an excellent level of preparation for both Garfias and Pearson as we head to a very exciting year in 2025.
A number of these cars will be turned into 324 machines because it's the same basic shell with this, the 320. But everything else new, completely new. Exterior, wings. We're losing the side air intake for next year. New Tom's prepared Toyota engine with more power compared to the Spieth engine that we currently use as well. So we'll combine all that, and that will be lap times of 2 seconds a lap quicker compared to what we currently have. And they're not exactly slouches. They are the, you know, I think I'd be right in saying they're the fastest cars that you would describe as F3 level that isn't FIA Formula 3.
Yeah, I would say so. Obviously going faster than where we already currently sit obviously will make a difference, and something that the drivers will need a slight adjustment to, but this does give them somewhat of a leg up in the, should we say, the procedure of running these cars. But, heading through towards turn 1 once more. Still Benavides holding all the cards up at the front. Yet another 25-point weekend could be here in the offing. Of course, only took 1 victory last time out at Red Bull Ring, but has had successes each and every single round near enough. In fact, it's very few times you can say he has not scored. He's at least scored a victory once in every single round we have gone racing. Very nearly clinching a triple as well back at Spa, obviously, but issues plagued his way. Of course, we had mixed conditions back then too in certain cases. Very challenging for many of the drivers when we ventured across there. Portimao was a good weekend for Benavides as well. Even he said it himself, his first single-seater racing win. And he was very proud of that too. Of course, he's had a long and lengthy time in building up to that. And it's never something to be dull about in taking a race victory in single-seater or even any kind of race machinery to that point. But amazing so far. Great effort this season for Benavides, and obviously he'll be looking to go on from here and maybe use this as a springboard to his future exploits in world motorsport. Jose Garfiusto and Edward Pearson will be looking to follow in the footsteps should they return next campaign. Francesco Simonazzi also just in behind too. Vladislav Ryabov, though, that gap extending now. 3.9 has become 4 seconds as they cross the timing line.
So 12 to go then. And the gap stabilising out there. It's about a second as Benavides took another 2.5 tenths out of Jose Garfias. So 1:32.841, as you can see there, fastest lap of the race. Still some way away from the race lap record, which was set last year by Charlie Wirtz, 1:32.278. Speaking of Charlie Wirtz, of course, we congratulated him this morning on his new seat in F3 with Trident. And of course, won the Drivers' Championship this year, so he's in very good hands there with the Italian squad, and was with us at the back end of last year. And the lap record being set last year because we changed the layout of the circuit, and so it was the first time we'd run on that particular layout, and that's why we have the lap record that's a bit more recent compared to other circuits that we race at. Sun's getting very low in the sky now, which I'm sure is causing headaches for the drivers. It's causing headaches for us in the box as well, because it's really glaring in here.
I'm quite fortunate being stood up.
Yes,
actually.
I might have to join you in that, George, because if I was a racing driver, I'd want the darkest visor possible right now, as the lead gap goes out a little bit further. Another tenth on that one, 1.2-ish now. Personal best coming in last time around from Francesco Simonazzi and Fernando Barrichello. And Barrichello seemed to find his form in the Red Bull Ring when he won in race 2 there. Didn't quite manage to pull out the same performance in the final race of the weekend, but was always hoping to see him find that form again. Of course, yes, it is Barrichello, as in the son of Rubens Barrichello. If you haven't been with us throughout the season, having joined us from the Brazilian Formula 4 racing scene, but has had some experience in Europe with the Spanish F4 Championship as well, and so isn't a complete stranger to the racetracks that we use here in the Euroformula Open Championship. But certainly won't have used all of them throughout his career. And Father Rubens is here this weekend, offering his support, of course.
Yeah, certainly is. And Rubens himself also getting a chance to test some cars in the course of this weekend, and rumours certainly flooding that he could be joining us on the International GT Open grid when we head to the Temple of Speed at Monza for the Enduro, where he'll be partnering Giuseppe Cipriani in the Il Baroni Rampante Lamborghini. So lots to be excited about with a double-barrel Barrichello weekend for that one. And obviously Fernando marking another appearance here in the championship, but having a lot of fun nonetheless. I got a chance to speak to him in free practice day, and obviously had to offer congratulations after a fantastic first race win of the campaign back at Austria in a really desperate rain-soaked situation whereas he may have lost the lead, he eventually fought for it back. You know, he managed to make a stellar move around the outside, coming through Wash and Verth curve back at Red Bull Ring, and it takes truly tenacious talent and driver to pull something like that off. It's not easy, folks, even in the dry, and the fact that as the rain came down, the circuit got a little bit more slick. He found the pace, he found the line, and carried the car around the outside, and would go on to take a very special first win. And we all heard the reaction in the Barrichello family, his message back to his, no doubt, the rest of his family members. Rubens probably watching on at home as well, wasn't with him that weekend, but back here this time around at Barcelona to offer that support that he has done over the course of the entire season. But lots to look forward to as you now watch Simonazzi now descend downhill, coming out of turn 14. Italian stallion now, once again, looking after the car belonging to Giuseppe Mazzotti's BVM racing car, just running in a little bit sideways as well on the run out of turn 14. A little flick as he aggressively punches that rear on the BVM car, and then heads down the hill towards turn 1. There is Barrichello, closely followed as well by the train of cars behind him that include Vladislav Ryabov and Riccardo Escotto in his first weekend of the season. Currently sat P7 and chasing after P6 is Riccardo Escotto. 9 to go, and still it's Benavides, and he's clear by 1.5.
Oh, someone kicked up some gravel there, it looked like, through turn 3. And it might have been Jose Garfias, because he's got Ed Pearson suddenly all over him, fighting for second position, and Pearson really couldn't work out which way he wanted to go there. He's got an up and under. The Mexican is really getting his elbows out to try and hang on to second place here. Pearson has to hold station, but he's very weary of the fact that he's got Simonazzi right behind him as well, and so a little mistake there from Garfias has really put the cat amongst the pigeons in this one, and suddenly the two teammates line us down with the BVM racing car waiting in the wings to try and pick up the pieces. And it's our two rookies once again from the Red Bull Ring who are finding themselves very closely matched indeed.
Yeah, just heading around now the turn at turn 12 and then down 13, 14 then to mark an end to this particular lap. And this is the moment in the replay, and yes, extending out very wide.
Wow.
You did a great job of carrying the momentum as well as he did, but it was on the cusp of forfeiting that second place to
he was on the
Edward
cusp
Pearson.
of forfeiting his whole race.
Yeah, he did, and it would have ended in tears, no doubt, for the Mexican, but somehow, some way, he managed to hold on to second place.
Yeah, so last time around that was a 1:36, nearly 3 seconds slower than our race leader, hence the gap now up to 4.3 for Brad Benavides, who is on course for his 8th victory of the season, now with that little mistake from Garfias. And I remember one of the comments from the team was that, you know, because everyone loves driving these Dallara chassis cars, Pearson and Garfias were particularly vocal about the car after their first test at the Oschersleben, and they said, well, just because it's a great car to drive doesn't mean it's an easy car to drive, particularly in the low-speed corners. We've got skinny little tyres on them, and you have to manhandle them a little bit and then try and utilise the downforce in the high-speed stuff, which we have an awful lot of here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. And so just because it's a great car to drive doesn't necessarily mean it's easy, and Garfias had a sharp reminder of that there, as we have a squeal of Pirelli rubber from Francesco Simonazzi, and Garfias now regaining his composure and starting to re-establish that gap to Pearson.
Yeah, absolutely. Slight squeal and a puff of smoke off the back of Simonazzi's car coming out of turn 10. But, all's fair and all's well so far. May have had a couple of scary moments on part of Garfias, and also a little squeal from Simonazzi, but all cars still continuing, persevering. Brad Benavides extending that gap now, 3.8. 5-4 to Jose Garfias, with Edward Pearson remaining within that second gap. Obviously working very hard, Giovinazzi really taking that car to the limits, coming out of turn 1 and turn 2. Really pushing to try and dig deep on this Pirelli rubber, which of course is going to be feeling the full brunt, the full force of this Barcelona track that really asks a lot of the compound. Obviously coming in towards the end of a race, it can make traction very uneasy to obtain, that's for sure, as they head out of Seat now. And they'll take the trip down towards Birth Curve. Brad Benavides running really confidently, clear and out in front. And surely this will be another pole to victory for him, following in the footsteps of what he managed to achieve back at Hockenheim Ring. And of course, he went on to take pole, and not only that, would win and take the fastest lap in the first race of that weekend. Didn't quite repeat the same thing at Paul Ricard when he was pole on that occasion in the south of France, but looks like this time around could well be going his way. But now heading around the latter stages on this lap, 7 at the moment to go, so they'll cross the timing line and it will register 6 to go as we now watch them head through towards turn 14. All eyes here at the moment on Garfias, still chasing after Brad Benavides. It's been a good start though for Garfias. I think when you actually strip it down here, Chris, and look at what he's shown through the course of his time at Austria, obviously appreciate the first race didn't go to plan. Qualifying was epic. I mean, to step into the car as soon as he did, be on the pace and then take pole, you know, whereas results may have led him astray on the odd occasion, I wouldn't say it's the necessarily the full illustration of what Jose Garfias is all about.
No, absolutely. I definitely think it was robbed of a podium finish in Red Bull Ring. Yeah, it's such a shame he was squeezed through turn 1 and had damage on his front suspension, and so barely got a few hundred meters into his Euroformula Open debut before it was over, and had the typical bad first start of Euroformula Open drivers, as they do get used to preloading the clutch. It's a fairly new thing at this level, and it's a proper carbon clutch in these cars as well, and so a race-ready one. So it does take some getting used to, but is significantly more race-ready than what else is available out there. So Benavides just stretching his legs out there. Now gap has come down ever so slightly over the last couple of laps, but still 3.7 seconds, still very healthy margin there ahead of Jose Garfias, who is now on course for his first podium finish in the Euroformula Open, of course, and a second for Ed Pearson. These two really have just sort of rocked up and started showing people how it's done, isn't it? Coming in and beating these full-time drivers and very experienced drivers as well, like Francesco Simonazzi, who have been there for some time. Of course, FIFO Barrichello as well, been here for the full season as well.
Yeah, I mean, also looking at the wins record, points record, obviously time in the championship. Benavides is currently on the cusp this season of bringing in his 8th fastest lap of the campaign. That would put him on par with the likes of Mendes, Barber, and Nicolo Schiro, Sandy Stuvik, Leonardo Polcini. Of course, on 7, he's tied with Brazilian Vitor Baptista, but the current drivers that hold the most fastest laps are a trio of Yi Fei, Jack Crawford, and Oliver Goethe, who would go ahead and do that back in 2022, and as a consequence would eventually move up into Formula 3, and has since then joined the Red Bull Driver Academy, and obviously recently had his first stints in Formula 2, and no doubt we will see him on the grid in F2 in campaigns to come. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, we could yet see another record broken here if Brad Benavides is able to run out the next 6 races, of course, including this one, with the fastest lap. I mean, he could yet etch his name with 13 as holding on to the most fastest laps in the history of this championship.
I do wonder if Brad Benavides at some point in this season will do what only 2 previous champions have done, Cameron Dass and Oliver Goethe, have been able to achieve, and that is win all 3 races since the 3-race format was adopted in 2021. And so that was done by Cameron Dass Portimao and by Oliver Goethe at Spa. because they both went on to win the championship. And Olli Goethe recently made his Formula 2 debut. Didn't last very long, but I think he is due to be back out for the remaining couple of races. Is it for the season?
I believe he is.
Yas Marina and somewhere else.
Yeah, he'll be back, no doubt. Obviously, looking ahead, it won't be long before we start talking about pre-season testing in the F3 and F2 world. Obviously, it's been rapidly talked about, and that's when we get a first look of at the drivers that are going to be snatched up, ready for new campaigns in F3 and F2. And Brad Benavides will know all about that. That's something that he would have no doubt partaken in, obviously in a build-up to his own campaigns. But yeah, very exciting time, and watching the young drivers come through, and obviously linking into that with the fact that we've got the new car, the Dallara 324 chassis, a lot of excitement in terms of teams and drivers. I mean, already hearing from Edward Pearson and Jose Garfias about how much they love this car coming into this championship for the very first time back at Red Bull Ring. Pearson was lost for words, as was Garfias. I mean, Garfias, to an extent, obviously alluded to it in his interview when he took pole back at Austria, saying how much it was, how fun it was to really drive this car, and obviously it just responds as a car should in their mind's eye. And looking ahead now to a fresh campaign with a brand new chassis, brand new car, 324 with the Tom's engine, and with the changing bodywork shape, the removal of the airbox on the left-hand side of the car. It's going to be exciting to see them, test their mettle here in new, renewed machinery. And obviously, the general consensus is, and the big hype behind the scenes is, the motor park are going to have some challenges next year.
Yes, from some unlikely teams, potentially. With there are certain teams that are really showing an interest in the Euroformula Open form next year, and it's an easy sell to the drivers, I imagine, as well, with such a professional, well-prepared car from Dallara. Of course, the Tom's prepared Toyota engine as well, which is going to be a very, very attractive package. And you only have to look at the alumni of the Euroformula Open to know that this is a championship that breeds winners and champions of the future as well, not just to the world of Formula One, but to the world of sports car racing. We talk a lot about the Lawsons and the Doohans and the Sonodas who are on the F1 grid for next year, but think about the IndyCar drivers that have come through here. Three-time champion now, Alex Palou, and Colton Herta as well, Linus Lundqvist, and sports car racing as well, with Yifei having raced here as well, Ben Fiscal and Nicholas Cruton and Ben Barnicut, and of course we still have a plethora of drivers making their way through the junior single-seater ladder in FIA Formula 3 and FIA Formula 2. Christian Mansell, Olli Goethe, and Zane Maloney as well. Dennis Hauger is another one as well. So there is plenty of talent that has come through this field. So we did see a change of position there for Francesco Simonazzi, dropping behind Fifo Barrichello there. But is currently showing, again, a slight delay in the timing order there, so that's fourth position now. As for Brad Benavides, now he's on his, about to start his final tour of the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, and on course now for his 8th victory of the season. Yeah,
and this will be, I'm sure, a happy moment for him. He can obviously just take it steady, doesn't have to gamble anything at this stage. Obviously, this will go towards a championship charge. Nothing will be quite decided yet, but this will put definitely the wheels in motion, if you pardon the pun, in terms of potentially enlisting himself as champion in the Euroformula Open, and it'll be his first single-seater championship as well, should he claim it. But the important factor is that he will be, should it remain like this, a winner here in race one here at Barcelona. But coming through The final corners in Sector 2. He's got to rise up through Verth curve and then a trip down through Campsa, heading out of turn 9. And Motor Park, who obviously have a trend of looking after new talent. They can also look after the more experienced ones alike. We've seen it in the International GT Open. We're watching Brad Benavides do the same. Obviously returning after stints in FIA Formula 3 and FIA Formula 2. He returns home to the to the stage that is set at the International GT Open, the Euroformula Open Championship, coming out to the final few corners now, around the very fast turn 13, in what will be, I'm sure, a very comfortable, solid performance, and finalised here to make it 8 in the Euroformula Open Championship. He will win. It's Brad Benavides. The Floridian takes the top step of the podium with Jose Garfias in second place. Edward Pearson returns across the line in third. And with that, number 8 victory for Brad Benavides. He joins the likes of Leonardo Polcini and Drac Crawford with 8 wins in his Euroformula Open campaign.
And it's a first podium finish for Jose Garfias in the Euroformula Open Championship at the 4th time of asking. A second podium for Ed Pearson as well, beating Fernando Barrichello to 4th position. And so it was a late change there between himself and Francesco Simonazzi in 5th. And then getting reverse grid pole for tomorrow's Vladislav Ryabov in 6th position. It is the race 1 result that determines the grid.
Yeah, obviously this is the final classification. Brad Benavides making it win number 8 with victory here in race 1 at Barcelona. Jose Garfias finishing in 2nd, Edward Pearson in 3rd, Fernando Barrichello finishing in 4th ahead of Francesco Simonazzi in 5th. Vladislav Ryabov down in 6th. Ricardo Escotto rounds out the 7 drivers. And this is how the championship looks. Brad Benavides has broken 400 points. It's 404 now with a 121 points gap to Francesco Simonazzi on 283. Levente Ravesh 244, obviously announcing that he's moving to GT3 racing in the International GT Open. Fernando Barrichello in 4th, Jakob Bergmeister 5th, Michael Shin 6th, Lucia 7th, Pearson 8th, Garfias 9th, Gerard G in 10th place. So there we have it. Fantastic victory for Brad Benavides that I'm sure he'll be absolutely delighted with. Sets the tone for the weekend. A calm performance, calm ride. Obviously, he had to encounter a little bit of a hustle and tussle with Jose Garfias right at the start, but aside from that, pretty straightforward, Chris.
It was, especially after Garfias made that slight mistake at turn number 3. That really dropped him back and very much consolidated Benavides' lead out at the front of the field, and did give Garfias something to think about for a little bit. Pearson and Simonazzi behind, but very quickly refound his composure, and will be Benavides and our 2 most recent additions to the championship up on the podium. And Fernando Barrichello will join them up there as well as the rookie winner, beating Vladislav Ryabov and Ricardo Escotto.
Yeah. Spoke to him in the paddock. The mission was clear: bring the car home in one piece. That's exactly what he did. It's just all about just doing what he can with what is set in front of him. And what lay in front of Brad Benavides was yet another 25 points. And also the points that may go along with the fastest lap that I believe he obtained as well once more. So he will add to that stat, to the fastest lap record. And finishing ahead of Jose Garfias, and a good drive as well for Edward Pearson, finishing in 3rd place. In yet another return, another exciting talent that we get to look forward to potentially next year as well. Obviously, we're still waiting to get confirmation on what Motor Park are going to be lining up with for next year's campaign. I can tell you this, folks, it's going to be exciting. And you never know. We could be in for a big twist next season. It's going to be a thrill ride. Obviously, just witnessing the new cars out on track for the very first time. But for the Floridian, Brad Benavides, as far as he's concerned, job done here so far, but still 2 races to go this weekend. And here is our top 3 to round us out. Edward Pearson on the podium once more. Great performance from the Brit, doing what was necessary. in front of him, Jose Garfias, who started in this championship right at the same time. The Mexican sensation returns once more after very nearly clinching pole, but Brad Benavides got pole and got victory, and he's standing by with Alfredo Filipponi.
Yeah, Brad is fighting with the cap. But how was the fight on the track? Today it was smooth.
Yeah, we're happy with pole, obviously, in the morning. Start, it wasn't terrible, but it could have been a little bit better. Anyways, the draft up to T1 is powerful, and obviously you could see how that came to play into T1, but I was able to maintain the position, and yeah, happy for the win.
And we are getting closer. I'm very bad at mathematics, but I think we are getting closer to the title.
Yeah, mathematically, of course, this weekend it's looking like we could finish it off with the title if I'm not in contention, or I mean I don't collide in the next two races. Oh, the music went out very loud. But yeah, hopefully we can finish the job tomorrow. And yeah, all my family is here, my sister, my two sisters, my girlfriend, my aunt, my grandma, my parents, they're all here, and I'd like to dedicate this eighth win to them here in my home, relatively European home track. I'm at a point in my life where I don't really know where my driver career is going to go from here, but hopefully in my faith and in my heart, I can somehow find something that can go align with my dreams. So yeah, thanks.
For sure, I'm sure. I think they are rehearsing for the party.
Okay, cheers, guys.
Well, send out an SOS to the other drivers on the grid. Brad Benavides is a race winner again. And let's see how he did it. Getting off the line after the green flags, it was a great start for Benavides, but also Garfias got a nice launch as well. Actually remained in the wheel tracks, and he actually tussled side by side with the Floridian. But despite getting a nose in front, it would be Benavides coming out of the first chicane on top. But a big moment for Garfias later on, however, just running out vastly wide, coming out of turn 3 and towards turn 4, and that hampered him ever so slightly, obviously leaving him as fodder for Edward Pearson in behind. But unfortunately for him, fortunately for him, he able to withstand the pressure. There's the move as well from Fernando Barrichello on Francesco Simonazzi, rounding that left-hander coming out of Seat corner. But no one could stop Brad Benavides, an 8th race win of the campaign, joining Leonardo Polcini and Jack Crawford in taking 8 wins through the course of this campaign. Easy as you like. Simple yet effective. Accomplished here, Brad Benavides. No messing, just A to B. That's all it needed. And he will stand on the top step, Chris. And, you know, without a doubt, definitely the future lies in wait. Surely crown champion this weekend, you fathom.
You would very much think so, and of course it'd be very nice for him to do so. He's got a lot of family and friends visiting here with him this weekend. And it is very much what we expect to happen, providing no major dramas for Benavides in these final 2 races of the weekend before we go to Monza in a few weeks' time. Of course, shame to hear that Brad doesn't really know what he's going to be doing next year. He didn't sound overly optimistic about his 2025 plans when we spoke to him yesterday. But for now, in this moment, he's on the top step of the podium once again for the 8th time in 2024. The Motorpark representative joins him on the podium, and once again we will hear the American national anthem on the podium.
Fernando Barrichello as well, moving up to the rookie victory step, obviously off the back of winning at Austria. Great to see Fernando, and obviously a great move on Francesco Simonazzi. Here comes, though, the USA national anthem. Well, as the United States anthem rings out, we could be uttering it out for yet another major reason, with Brad Benavides on the right trajectory to becoming champion for the very first time in a single-seater championship on top of the Euroformula Open Series. Trophies being presented by Mr. Santa Maria, of course, the governor of the Circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya, obviously in charge of everything that unfolds around here. Jesus Pereira, of course, CEO of GT Sport Organization, the very figurehead behind this fantastic championship and its umbrella organization as well. Obviously, trophies being presented to Edward Pearson and Jose Garfias, and the winning trophy being presented to Brad Benavides. More points going his way in the championship, extending the gap now ahead of Francesco Simonazzi.
Yep, so some math to do this evening when we get back to the hotel. Of course, drop scores to be applied as well, which does complicate matters. It's not as simple as having to have the points gap with a few races to spare. Of course, don't forget there are lots of bonus points as well. Pole position bonus point, fastest lap bonus points, position gained bonus points as well. So, yeah, some math to do tonight.
Definitely. Well, there's one thing we can calculate, is that we have got, well, certainly had certainly a busy season. We can calculate there's going to be a grand season next year, but still plenty of races to come, folks. It's been a pleasure bringing you all the action here in the Euroformula Open Championship. We'll be back together for qualifying again, racing action again tomorrow at 12:05. We'll see you then.